Hey guys, it's Mr. Tracy. We're going to continue with volume today. We're going to be doing cones and pyramids. All right. So in order to find the volume of a pyramid, we have to do the fraction 1/3, multiply it by b, which is going to be the area of the base. And the base of a pyramid is exactly what you would think it would be. Okay, it's the square or rectangle that is at the bottom of the pyramid. Okay, so we have to find the area of the base and then multiply it by however high up the pyramid goes. All right, 1/3 times the area of the base times the height of the pyramid. All right, so first things first, how do I find the area of a rectangle or a square? All right, so let's take a look at number one. Okay, my base is definitely this rectangle down here. All right. And in order to find the area of this base, super easy. Area of a rectangle is just base times height. So 10 times 11, which ends up being 110 inches squared. So that's the area of the base. Now, in order to find the volume of the pyramid, I have to do 1/3 times the base, the area of the base, which is 110, we just figured that out, times the height. How high up does this pyramid go? Well, it goes up 16 inches. So volume equals 1/3 times the area of the base is 110, times the height, which is 16. Multiply all those guys together, and you get 586.67 inches, and since we're in volume, cubed. Easy enough, right? How about number two? All right, first things first, volume equals 1/3 times base times height. Okay, so first thing I got to do is figure out what's the area of the base. I have a rectangle down here. So the area of the base is just going to be length times width. The length is 21, the width is 9. Multiply those two guys together, and I get 189. And that's, since it's area, that's yards squared. Okay, area is squared, volume is cubed. All right, so now that I have the area of the base, I can just do the volume of a pyramid formula, which is 1/3 times the base times the height. 1/3, area of the base is 189, times the height, it looks like it's going up 5 yards. Multiply all those guys together, and I get 315 yards cubed. Alrighty, moving on. So here I've got to hold on one sec. Okay. Same thing here. First things first, I got to figure out what's the area of the base. This is a 14 by 14 base, so is this a rectangle? Well, technically, yeah, but it's a special type of rectangle. If all of the sides are 14, what shape is the base? It's a square. So if I figure out the area of the base, I would just do 14 times 14, which I think is 196, and that's feet squared. Okay. Now I have to do volume, because that's what the question's asking me for. Volume equals 1/3 times the base, 196, times the height. Now, here's the annoying thing. If you can see, this technically isn't the height, okay? This is the height of the triangle face. But if you notice, for the first two that we did, the height is from the base to the top of the pyramid. From the base, the middle of the base, to the top of the pyramid. This one is not. This one's slanted up. So this is where it gets a tad bit annoying. we have to figure out if this is the center of the base. We have to figure out this dimension here. We don't really care about this dimension here. We have to figure out this height here. But what's cool is that this is a right triangle. And I know that the hypotenuse is 25 feet. Okay, one of the legs is not 14, but 14 would be all the way across. So half of 14, which is 7. And then I could figure out what's the height, because this is a right triangle. And anytime I have two sides of a right triangle, I could figure out the other side. So I'm gonna do some Pythagorean theorem. All right, I do 7 squared plus the height squared equals the hypotenuse squared. This is 49. 25 squared is 5. What's 25 squared? Where's my calculator? Hold on one sec. 25 squared is 625. When I subtract 49 from both sides, I get h squared equals 576. And then when I take the square root of 576, I get, h, not x. H is 24. All right. So the height of this pyramid over here, the height is 24. So I'm going to pop that in over here. Multiply them all together. 1/3 times 196 times 24, and I get 1,568. We're in feet, and since it's volume, it's cubed. All right. What's different about number 4? Definitely it's a pyramid, but what shape is the base here? The base is a triangle. So in order to do this one, I have to find my B, but that's going to be area of a triangle, not a rectangle. So remember, if I'm finding the area of a triangle, the area of the base is going to be 1/2. The base is 12. The height it's showing me is 7.5. Multiply all those guys together, and we get 45. So that's the area of the base. All right. So in order to find the volume of a pyramid, I do 1/3 times the area of the base, which I just found, times the height of the pyramid, which is 10. Multiply all those guys together, and I get 150. I'm in millimeters, and since it's volume, it's cubed. All right. Okie dokie. Moving on, number 5. If I need to find the area of the base again. Okay, so the area of the base is going to be 1/2 base times height. The base of the triangle times the height of the triangle, and I'm talking about this triangle down here because that's the base. All right, so it looks like it's a right triangle I'm dealing with. That's what this little box here means. I have one leg is 14. Okay, and they don't give me the height of this triangle, but since it's a right triangle, I could just multiply this as the base and this side as the height. So I don't have this side though. What am I going to do? Well, since it's a right triangle, I have a leg. I need to solve for the height of this triangle down here, and I have a hypotenuse. So I can just use Pythagorean theorem again. 14 squared plus h squared equals 22.1 squared. 14 squared plus h squared equals 22.1 squared. 14 squared, I think, is 196. Yep. Cannot do 22.1 squared in my head. That's 480 88.41. I'm going to subtract 196 from both sides, and I get h squared equals 292.41. And then last but not least, take the square root, and I get that the height of that triangle is 17.1. Alright, so in order to find the area of the base, I have to do 1/2 times the base, which is 14. And then I just figured out that the height, this side right here, is, whoop, not 14, 17.1. Multiply all those guys together and you get 119.7. Alright, so that's the area of the triangular base. So in order to find the volume of this pyramid, okay, I have to do 1/3 times the area of the base, which we just found, times the height of the pyramid, which they gave us so graciously, which is 19. Multiply all those guys together, and we get 758.1. We're in meters, and we're cubed. Alright. Okie doke. Down here, gotta find the area of the base of the pyramid first. Looks like I have an equilateral triangle as my base. Okay, so I can use any one of these sides as the base of that triangle. Now I just gotta figure out the height of that bottom triangle. Well, I can do that by doing, I know that this is 5 because it's halfway across the equilateral triangle. That would be the altitude. Alright, so if I need to figure out the height, I would do 5 squared plus h squared equals 10 squared. 5 squared plus h squared equals 10 squared. 5 squared is 25. 10 squared is 100. Minus 25. And I get h squared equals 75. And I take the square root of 75, and I get h equals 8.66. We'll round. Alright, so that's the height of the bottom triangle. Now, in order to find the area of that triangle, I would do 1/2 times the base, which is 10, times the height, which is 8.66, and I get 0.5 times 10 times 8.66, and I get 43.3. So that's the area of the base. Now I'm going to use that to find the volume. Volume is 1/3 times the area of the base times the height of the pyramid, which they're telling me is 16. And I get 230.93. 230.93, and we are in centimeters, and we're cubing them. And that is a pyramid. Any questions? Wonderful. Moving on. Alright, you guys have seen this anytime that you've gotten ice cream before. These are cones. Alright, and the way that we find the area of a cone is the volume of a cone, my apologies. Volume equals 1/3 times pi, which we all know is 3.14159265. The radius squared, so that's the circular base of the cone from the center to the outside, and times the height of the cone. So these are usually pretty easy. You just have to pop in the correct measurements into the variables. All right, if volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h, all right, volume equals 1/3 pi what would the radius be? Well, they gave it to us, 9 times the height, 17. Multiply all those guys together, 1/3 times pi times 9 times 17, and we get 1,441.99. We're in yards, and we're cubing. Easy enough, right? Cones aren't that bad. Same thing down here. I have to do, in order to find the volume in number 8, I have to do 1/3 times pi times the radius squared. Well, is this a radius? No, this is a diameter, so I have to chop 5 in half. That would be the radius. What's half of 5? 2.5 squared. Whoops, I forgot to put my squared up here. Times the height, which is 8. Easy enough, right? We did the hard part. Calculator will do the rest. And we get that the volume of this particular cone is going to be 52.36 inches, and we're cubing. Alright, this is probably the hardest cone question that we'll come across, and it's really not that bad. Okay, in order to find the volume of this cone, I have to do 1/3 pi times the radius squared. Well, the radius would be half of 27, right? Which would be what? 13.5 times the height of the cube. Now, unfortunately, we don't have this dimension here. Can we figure it out? Of course. Guess what? This is a right triangle that I just drew. Okay, I know that the radius, or the leg of the triangle, is 13.5, because that's half of 27. And then we'll call this h because it's the height. And now I could just use Pythagorean theorem. We'll do that down here. H squared plus 13.5 squared equals 22.5 squared. Let's see, 22.5 squared is 506.25. 13.5 squared is 182.25. H squared. I'm gonna subtract 182.25 from both sides. Let's see, 506.25 minus 182.25 is 324. So I get, I'm running out of room here, h squared equals 324. My final step will be to square root both sides, and the square root of 324 is 18. So the height is 18. And now I can just pop that right in over here, multiply everything together, and I get 3,435.33. We are in kilometers, and we're cubing because it's volume. All right, a couple more, then we're done. All right, a cone has a volume of 1309. The height of the cone is 8. Find the radius. All right, so I'm gonna write down the volume of a cone formula, which is 1/3 pi r squared h. Volume is 1309. It says it right here. So I'm gonna plug 1309 in for which letter? V, because volume starts with V. 1309 goes over here. 1/3 stays the same. Pi is a number, so that stays the same. R squared is what we are solving for. And did we have the height? Yes, we do. The height is 8. All right. Now, what I can do is, since this is all multiplication, okay, I can multiply 1/3 times pi times 8. Okay. And that'll be my coefficient for r squared. So I'm going to do 1/3 times pi times 8, and I get 8.3775. So I get 1309 equals 8.377. We'll round that to 6. And that's r squared. And now I have to solve for r. So first thing, I got to get r by itself, right? So first thing I would do is I would divide both sides by 8.3776. Okay, I'm going to continue up here. 1309 divided by 8.3776 is 156.25. 156.25 equals r squared. Right, these would cancel out and I would just be left with r squared. I divide these, I get 156. Last but not least, I'm going to square root both sides and I get the radius is 12.5. Did I answer the question? Find its radius. Radius is 12.5. Done. All right, 2 more. Let's go. Caitlin must build a sandcastle in the form of a square pyramid for a project. And that's shown right over here to the left. Square pyramid because the base is a square. She bought 3 bags of sand, each containing 1,200 cubic inches of sand. Will she have enough sand to build the castle? All right. So this is a volume, inches cubed, 1,200 inches cubed. They want to know, is that enough sand to build this exact pyramid? Well, in order to know that, I would have to figure out the volume of this pyramid. So remember, volume of a pyramid is 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. All right. The area of the base in this case would just be 25 times 25. 25 times 25 is, I think 625, right? Yeah, 625. So that's the area of the base, and the height is 18. So volume equals 1/3 times the area of the base, which is 625, times the height, which is 18. All right, multiply all those together. 625 times 18 times 1/3. I get the volume of this pyramid is 3,750 cubic inches. Now, we didn't answer the question yet. It says, will she have enough sand to build the castle? Well, she bought 1,200 cubic inches of sand. This particular pyramid needs 3,750 cubic inches of sand. So did she have enough sand? No. She doesn't have enough. All right. And you know what? Don't even worry about this guy. All right. You guys have till Monday night to submit this. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope everybody's doing well. Have a nice weekend.